Hello and welcome to Lands Unknown. My name is Will, and today, started a little late. Just had to restart the browser. It was not connecting to my screen share. Today we are going to continue with the C climates and get our B climates in there. I've got G plates. Yeah, G plates brought up in my laptop beside me, so that'll help me out. Hey, Jan. Hello, Kate. And yeah, we'll start cracking in a sec. I just wanted to let everyone know for the next 2 weeks, there will still be lives, but they will be pre-recorded and they are going to be more of a like rough thoughts sort of presentation sort of thing. One will be looking at the model that I use to talk about polities from the episode with Bib. So, yeah, and I've developed a chart and I'm going to talk through that chart. It's good. It's the first iteration. I'm using the pre-recorded live as like a marginalia, just sort of talk through notes. And then the other live is going to be, thoughts on kingdoms and empire and world building, because I've been seeing some things being, I don't know, prompted to me on YouTube and watching what other people are saying. So going to do that, and I'll probably have a sped up version of me painting something in the background for the next video. So, oh, hello, Jackie. All right, let's get in here. Bringing that up. Great. I'm going to move my stuff around 1 sec. There we go. Hello, Madeline. All right, so here we are with our C climates. I also, it would not let me bring it over for some reason, but I did screenshot it from my own video. I got the janky workaround because we are going to be working in this area here, and since that is a W climate, 70% of the total precipitation is going to be happening in the summer. Hello, Jake and Ryder 2. So there are a couple things that I wanted to look at here first. One is that when I am working through where are my climates here? My CWC climates. I generally like this, but I do want, oh no, that's not good. Don't do that one. I was painting something else. Where's my inking brush? There we go. All right, studio pen. All right, so there we go. I do want this side to be a little broader than this side, only because the way that these mountains form is it's coming. Oh, yeah, no, can't see that. Those notes will do. All right, so the mountains are forming this way. So the steeper side is going to be over here, and the actual slow descent through the hills is going to be on this side. So I just want to represent that by having this be a little thicker. I may thin it out on the other end, but I don't know if that's really necessary. Yeah, I don't think that's really necessary. I just didn't take it as far as I should have. All right, so getting in here. Yeah, not on the elevation layer. CWC, woo. All right, so let's just... All right, I hope everyone's having a nice, lovely Sunday. It is not sunny for me today, so looking at the sun will be uh, especially important. That green dragon. Yeah, I'm going to bring it in over here as well. Not the one I want. And I have, for the World Building Festival polity, the culture I'm working on for the World Building Festival polities, for the World Building Festival, one of the things I'll be doing is oh, sorry about that. All right. One of the things I'm going to be doing is looking at developing a polity in a culture, and then showing how their logics and um, systems for governance change, not necessarily over time, but how they could hypothetically change given different circumstance. What would they look like given a certain base polity if they became, more state-like, more hierarchical, more heterarchical, those sorts of things. And I've decided that they will be known as the wingless. So the wingless dragons. In their origin myth, they are going to be dragons that lose their wings. And that's going to, inform how they kind of see the world. I think Jake's here. He'll know the cannibal metaphysics. They'll kind of see themselves as, one group of dragons among many. Because on Arukia, the mammals all have beaks and face shields and things. So, when looking at dragons, they may seem closer to humans than many of the mammals do, especially because, yeah. So I thought that was fun. All right, that's looking better. Let's turn the elevation off, see how that's coming out. Yeah, that's looking a little better. There's one place I need to... Hey, Miles. Also, Jake and Miles from Let's Have a Booba. For the World Building Festival, we're going to be working on the climate for the Boobaverse. We're going to figure out, where the Mihi rungs are going to be. Well, I guess we already know where they are, but we're going to see how wet they are. Well, how arid or whatever. All right, so that's going to be quite good. I know I can continue in there, but I do kind of want to figure out some of the precipitation stuff and get the B climates in. So let's make the B climate areas. I'll probably make them on top. So excited for this. Probably focus down there. Yeah, no, that'd be cool. I don't, yeah, because the language you're working on right now on your own streams, that is not the Mihirung people. That's a different people, I believe. So I'm going to make BSK, and I am also going to do BWK. Let's do that. I'm also going to do SH, because we may have some of that in the lowlands. All right, so let's turn this elevation off. And I'm going to make a layer for making precipitation notes. And we can make that in a very saturated, cool blue. Oh, they're a Mihirung in both. Wonderful. It's just a priority of terror birds that were domesticated. Oh, yeah. I guess they're smaller terror birds, right? They're like terror dogs. Oh, excellent, Miles. Well, what's there if there aren't Mihirungs? Are there just terror birds there? And there's a contemporary species of bird, which is in the same broader group as terror birds, I believe. I forget what they're called offhand, but they do this thing where they grab their prey and they like slam it against rocks to kill it, which is kind of unique. Don't know the name of those critters offhand. All right, so we've got a lot of precipitation in here. So the places where we're going to be having a decent amount of precipitation in the summer and winter, which we haven't really designated in the A areas yet, which is fine. We're doing that in the C areas. So for that precipitation, I'm thinking, oh, much more of a temperate rainforest climate, so more crows and salmon, actually mammals as well. Ooh, mammals. Well, that's a change. Jake says the Mihirungs a little bit more associated with the Orlowans and the terror birds with the Ornalulans. Ornalulans? Ornalulans. But with human interactions, the two have been popularized across both islands. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I guess the Ornalulans are the ones who are doing the Ornaluluans. I don't know what's up with that for me, but my brain is not processing that right now. They're the ones you're doing the language for right now, I suppose. Okay, so looking at this here, if I guess along this coast, I mean, I could probably do, the coastal regions are receiving, I don't know, like, that doesn't look great. There we go. Let's do, 1,450 just for a general vibe of how much precipitation that we're getting. In the area where we have the F climates, I believe that is going to be extending, what's that, about, 1,200, 300, 400, something like that, in from the coast. Yeah, I can actually just check. Yeah. All right. And I can bring, so this area is about, I think from the furthest point, it's about 1,400 meters from the coast. Oh, that was my note. 1,400 kilometers. So it's 1,400 kilometers, but we're going to have 1,750 millimeters. My mistake. So that is 140. Between 100 and, yeah, something like that. All right, so, and that means from that to there, from here, no. What am I measuring? Oh, that's about 900. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, I was measuring the wrong spot. Great, so that's about 900 kilometers, which is fair. We've got some regions that would be more of a, so that goes from here to here to there is about 1,000. All right. The reason why I'm measuring this stuff is because I'm doing a drop off in precipitation based on how far it is in kilometers. So in this area where we have the overlap between summer and winter precipitation, this number will be an annual amount of precipitation. The drop off will be about 7 centimeters for 100 kilometers. Yeah, about 7 centimeters for 100 kilometers. So we can, let's try something. No. Yes. 7 centimeters, which would be about 70 millimeters. My numbers were not adding up. Is metrine a world-specific word? Yes. So these mountains going along here that are being built up are the Metrades, the Metrade Mountains. So the current orogeny is the Metride orogeny, and the adjective associated with it for a lot of the toponyms or just reference for directions is Metrine. So anything on this side, on the Lanao-Taikan side of the mountains, are the Cis-Metrine area. So this is the Cis-Metrine desert along there. And anything on this side is Trans-Metrine. So what we're working on right now is Trans-Metrine Zaalea. Hey, excellent. Yeah. And then these are, these are the Kotars. So Kotaride orogeny. These are the Palomars going along here. So this is Transpalomine and Cispalomine. It's essentially oriented around the all of those directional terms for whether it's cis or trans. The range is around the Taiki. Like, if we think of like for the, I don't know, for the Italian peninsula, especially for like, you have Cisalpine, which is on the Mediterranean side, and then Transalpine, which, is on the other side of the Alps. That's kind of the analog, I suppose. Right. So along this kind of boundary, we are going to have what are we going to have? So yeah, so we are going to see about, that can't be right. Oh, I hit a number. I hit a number in wrong. One sec. All right, so we're going to see about 1,120 millimeters kind of along this area here. I mean, I guess, we could see 1,050 millimeters as well. Oh no. But that is kind of the going to be our distinguishing line. And the main difference is going to be our winter, the summer precipitation. From here to over here, it is going to drop without mountains. It's going to be a steeper drop off. It's going to be about, I don't know, maybe twice as much. So 14 to 16. So let's say 15 for every 100 kilometers. So if I go to, I mean, I'm not really moving in a straight line, but that's okay. So that is, I mean, I already measured, it's about 2,000 kilometers. So yeah, don't know why that was really necessary. But let's see how much we would end up with after the fact here. Normally I can do the math in my head. I'm just not in it today. Well, we'd probably drop off pretty quickly. Let's see if I can. Yeah, we get to essentially we get to minimal precipitation. I mean, it's not going to be just dropping off too fast. So let's have a transition zone just so that we're not going to zero by the time we hit over here, because that's not really how things work. So let's do a bit of a buffer zone so we can transition. Let's do Thanks, Miles. Have fun at the gym. The lands will slowly become more known. I'll have to change the name of the channel at some point. All right, so let's do 600 kilometers. Yeah, let's do 600 kilometers of that. So we'll get to or we can do 9. I think 9 would be better. No, I was doing 10 times 6. All right, so that'll be a drop off of 6 centimeters. So that is. There's always more to know about the lands. That is true. I think I'm just losing my mind. All right, so yeah. All right, so if we are going from here to here, and let's do 0.9 as the, so this distance is 0.7. We'll make this one 0.9. And so for the whole stretch of 1100 kilometers, that would be so per kilometer, that is 800. No. Yeah, that would be 990. Okay, there we go. So this minus 990. This is what the world building looks like. This is why this takes a long time. Okay, so we're gonna have 130 millimeters of precipitation out here as a base value. Knowledge is power, writer two. All right, we're gonna have 130 millimeters out there as a base value. This will change based on two things. One, higher elevations will see more precipitation. 130 millimeters on the lee side of the mountain seems fine. Well, lee in the summer. In the winter, it's no, lee in the winter. In the summer, it's not lee. But that's okay. So it's going to receive precipitation in the winter. We are going to have two things. One, precipitation is going to decrease on the other side of hills and mountains and things. So we may end up with some BSH in here, maybe. But we are certainly going to end up with some deserts in here, which is going to be what I'm looking for. So now we have a bit of an idea without incorporating the mountains or anything like that, how much precipitation we can kind of expect in those two spots throughout the year. There's probably going to be less precipitation in these areas, and there's going to be more precipitation on the slopes. But what we are going to do then is coming up here to our handy dandy chart, we can put this chart below our precipitation notes here, and I can now draw on top of it. Great. So this is 100, so we're looking around here. If I hold it, it should make it into a line, but it's not really doing that. There we go. Great. So that is going to go through there. So we're going to have BWK, it looks like. I think I made it BSK in the video, probably because I'm going to have BSK. I want BWK in these lower elevation regions, and I'll have BSK in those raised regions. Now, it was a lower resolution map. I was not doing this for every single area. That would have been a lot. Similarly, we're probably going to see more precipitation. I still do it way faster than I have just, I mean, I have done models and stuff like that for like actual places. So, you know, when you look at enough models and, you know, you do enough mapping, you just have a knack for it. Trying to convert this into like a heuristic to let people world build with, maybe a bit more of a challenge. All right, so now we are going to think about up here as well. So that from that point is going to be a little different. So if I go straight from here to there along that line, that is 1,700. So this is going to be 700. Oops. And that will be a difference in 63 centimeters. Or 630 millimeters, which means that we're going to see probably a bit more precipitation up in this area, which is fun because we will also... Oh, yep. There we go. There's the BSK. Lovely, 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 lovely. So let's grab this and duplicate it. All right, so that means, so this is, great. All right, so this is also without any changes. So we're going to have D climates for sure higher up. And then in here, we're going to have BSK. I may lower the amount of precipitation, increasing the multiplier I'm using here because it is cooler up there. And when it's colder, there's less evaporation. So I could probably push it lower to about, I don't know, 400. Yeah, maybe I'll push it to closer, just below 400, just to get closer into that BSK range. All right, and now I want to throw up my calculations I've been making. that's the 18 degrees. There is 22 going through. All right, so now I can do the mean temperatures. Which we have done, so. Couldn't have deleted that stuff. All right, so in here we want to do, probably want to do up there. Want to hit here. Yeah, I want to hit there, want to hit there. Also would like to do in here. Maybe worthwhile to do there. And then I want to check here and in there because I could see BSH or BH in some of those regions. Hello, old growth forest. All right, so this isn't at sea surface level though. This is at elevation. So it's at least 500. 500, 3-degree difference. So this is where our 0 starts at 500 or so, about around 5 or around 0.7. We have 0 degrees C in the winter. Let's put that down here. Oh, I'm writing on the wrong layer. Great. All right, so in the winter, we have 0 degrees Celsius. And then we also have the dividing line between the B and C there. So for the D climates. Yeah, because we do have the transition with the CSC, which is sometimes a bit of an issue, but that's fine. Yeah, that's the 16 line. So on this edge here, the 16 line, and that would be a annual mean of 8 degrees Celsius. So 8 degrees in the D region here, be about here. But that is at the but that would be here. No. So it wouldn't be 16, it would be lower. It would be, the temperature would be higher. If it's 18 in there, which is 9, let's go check our, yeah. Okay, so that gives us something more reasonable to work with. So if we take that and shift it to here, we start getting about 400, we start getting the BSK. And now here, I want an outcome. So we are, using our measurements here to get something reasonable. And what we are saying essentially is that this mountain range, yeah. So these mountains here, the water, the precipitation is going to go up. It's going to precipitate on this side, and then it is going to blow over. This is slightly higher than this, so it's going to go down a little bit. It's going to expand. It's going to cool. It's going to be great, and then it's going to compact as it goes up. It's going to heat up. It's going to drop precipitation. It's going to be wonderful. So in here, we are going to have less precipitation. Therefore, we are going to have more of a BSK climate. What we could do is see how that looks after, but in here we could totally do BSK. As we have seen though, with our quick check, the regions that are going to be DWD here are by and large going to be too cold for, because once we start moving this way, it's just gonna get cold quite quickly. So these regions are not going to have B climate. That is certainly not going to have a B climate. So let's get rid of this mark. Yeah, so the BS is probably only going to sneak into here, but we can certainly have it in this area. So where did I move it over to? Yeah, so 8 we can say is definitely too low. So we will... Nice. All right. So we're certainly going to have it in here. We just need to determine when we are going to drop it, but it's kind of safe to include it in here. We won't be getting B. We could get some BWK, but I'd probably save the BWK for these. I think that'll be better. And when I look at the general flow of the temperatures here, where's that 18 line that I had? Yeah, all right. I just want to check the elevation. Yeah. All right, and then this will probably also go up into here. Now, on this side of the boundary, we have a very different situation. Because this is also going to be our division between 0, right? And then, yeah, it's not going to see that much of a difference on this side, but I will want to see, yeah, we should check here. Probably have to do more checks out there at some point. All right, and then 490 here and 130 here. So we are probably going to see, let's go back to our precipitation here. Let's do black. There we go. Put that on precipitation? No, I did not. I put that on a different layer. That's fine. All right, so let's look at our summer. 22. All right, so that's the 22 line in the summer. And we did our calculations for that over here. So it is between the 22 and 23 line. So it is going to be over 15. Let's see one sec here. Let's bring up the elevation. So this is, I need to move this over. This is not giving us the whole story. We need the whole story. We're going to do, yeah, 0.5, fine. All right, so 0.5 kilometers is going to be about 20 or so. Just under 20. And all these are in degrees Celsius. I just didn't make enough space. Okay, so if we are now going to get rid of that. Yeah, it's the 18 line for the winter. Not the summer. So all along this line, we are going to see in these X areas about 19. Yeah, 19 more or less. I mean, it's fine. And then, because they're all in those ranges. So some of them may be slightly cooler because they're a little higher. So let's do 18, 19, 18. Great. So that's going to be the summer, and then let's do a different color for the winter. That's not going to confuse us with anything else. All right, so then in the winter, 18 elevation would probably be around 15, but let us see what we got going on. Yeah, and we know that that's not the case because we've got sea in there, so it's not that cold. Did I do a 0 line at some point? That's where the 18 goes in the summer, goes all the way up there. Let's merge these layers. That will make it more convenient. All right, and that's the 18 winter line. Okay. And that corresponds more or less to where we see S climate. That corresponds more or less to where we see A climates in lower elevations. Great. So 1815. All right. So 18 and 15. Probably 14. Let's do it 14. If it's also dry because it is so drier air cools quicker, and because this is a very dry region, we can drop this if we need to. But let's just say that'd be an average of 16. I mean, we probably won't drop it. We probably want to rise it, but here we go. So this is this area we're looking at, and 16 is here. There we go. That's pretty good. BWK down there. Wonderful. So I was worried about it being too cold, but probably not the case. When does it? How? Yeah, I probably will make it a little colder. If it's 12, then that'll be closer to 15. So let's just do that. Now we will grab some of this WK, and we're going to just sort of mark that in here. Okay, we may get some BWH. Maybe. We may get some. We shall see, but I'll make it just in case. I suspect we'll get some BSH, but... Okay. And now we're up here. So this is further north from our 18 line. Okay, and then winter, I want to figure out what the 0 line is in the winter. Probably have to go to something else to do that. Okay. Okay, the 0 line is around 48 degrees, and then it just gets pushed down over the subcontinental areas. But I don't think at sea level, it is over land. It is closer to about 38 degrees, 37 degrees. Yeah, about 37 degrees. All right. All right, let's go here. And let's make a black line. So this is 0. As usual, so about here is the midpoint. But I do want to cross-reference that with the climates I already have. Yes, okay. And then if I've done that, well, 500, no, did not do that. 500 will certainly be 0. Well, that's on the 0 line. Well, it's going to be pushed up because of the water, so we'll just kind of ignore that for a sec. Once I get the 0 line in place, that will make this a bit more, because I definitely figured it out before. Because we do see a pretty sharp shift. All right, so over land, looks like it's happening. All right, where's liquefy? Because here is about 5 degrees, there's 0. Yeah, we'll just do that. That seems reasonable. Okay, so all right, so 0 at 500, because that is what this is at. This is around 500, correct? Correct. So that would make it 0. Yeah, around 500. So this line actually needs to come down a bit more. This is a pretty squished transition, which it is. It is a pretty squished transition. Zero. So that would be, if we imagine that to be 3, yeah, that's fine. And let's see how quickly temperatures are changing on the old one here. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Good. Just making sure that our transitions line up well. So now we go in and we can go here. And this is 0, but up here it would be closer to -3. I don't know. Maybe that's, what does that look like? 8? No. Yeah. That's 8. So we got another 8 degrees C and 8 degrees C with that amount of precipitation. Yeah, so that would still be BSK. All right. That's good. Okay, so let's spread the BSK further north. All right, and I guess I can do it over here too. So 0, that would be, I don't know, that would be closer to a -6 from how far it is. Yeah, that'd be closer to 19. And what's that average? Like 6.5? If we look here, 5, 6.5. Oh, yeah, that's just shy. So this can creep up a little bit more. And yeah, this will probably expand a little further out there. And on this side of the mountain, which would be the lee side, in the summer, we can move this up a little bit because there's going to be less precipitation in here. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, that was bad. There we go. Okay. Let's turn off the notes for a sec. I am liking this. Maybe not this exact. Excellent. There we go. Very happy. Okay. And let's add a bit of life to this one too. And what we're looking to do here, what I'm trying to approximate is like what valleys, valley beds and things like that look like, because you know it'll go up a valley bed, but on the ridges on either side of the valley, it is less likely to go up those, just because they're at higher elevations. Higher elevations are cooler, more likely to become there's more precipitation, but there's also less evapotranspiration, and that's what we're looking at here. We're using the mean annual temperature as a proxy for potential evapotranspiration. I mean, yeah, that is great. Love that. All right, throw the notes back on. And keeping in mind, as we're going further south from these D areas, as we go further south, we are going to be moving further to the left here on this annual precipitation chart. So at least until we hit this furthest distance here, and then we're gonna slowly add more precipitation. However, as we go further south, the temperature is also going to increase. So it's more likely we're going to see BWK climates and BSK climates are going to have to be at higher elevations. And what I'm interested in is to see when we're going to have some of our BSH as well. So we'll do some climate checks. We'll fill it in. I mean, we've already been going for about an hour or so. I want to do a little bit more before I call a brief break here. So I'm in it. This is world building. The what was it? The prequel movies were quite great because they got some really good memes. And also, I think it's very fun to present the sort of nostalgic history of the Republic in a more complex light, showing how it's, oligarchic and how the Jedi were, enforcers for trade agreements at an intergalactic level or galactic level. In a galaxy far, far away. So intragalactic level was always very fun to me. That's less than halfway. So 0. So that's 18. That is 0. That's kind of the middle. So what I'm not doing there, I'm doing here. I don't know, around 6 degrees. So what was that? About 3? Minus 3? Yeah, about 3 degrees, I guess. That's also going to be about 6.5, I think. No, 7.5. Yeah, 7.5. No, it's 8. It's 8. It is 8. It is 8 degrees. All right, so we got 8 degrees there. It is going to have... yeah, about 400, 450 milliliters, something like that. 8 degrees is here, right here. Yeah, it's going to be BSK. Okay. So that one's going to be BSK. So BSK is going to stretch along here. We are now going to go down here and see what's up. Oh, it is the end of the semester. I don't have any more class instructing to do. Just have a bunch of marking. And one thing is I've got students are handing in an assignment on Thursday, and I got to turn that assignment around very quickly because their exam is on the Tuesday, Monday or the Tuesday. So gotta have, yeah, no, it's on the Tuesday. So I have to have a really quick turnaround. And usually like these kinds of like survey classes for first years tend to do like, and we're doing physical geography, like, hydrology and glaciation and, climate, all that kind of stuff. They'll learn Köppen and things like that. All right, so this is quite close. So 15, let's do 15, 12, maybe, 12. All right. And usually these survey courses, they tend to put those exams later in the exam period. So we have more time to mark final assignments, but that is not the case because all of our marks for a class have to be in within 7 days after the exam is taken. So there's a pretty sharp crunch. Wow, okay. Let's see. And that is around, I don't know, maybe 200 or so. 200 millimeters based on this chart. So 15.5 and 200. Yeah, BWK. Great. At some point, there's going to be a transition between these the BS and the BWK. So I do want to find out where that's going to be. All right, here we have 18, and it is, yeah, that's also going to be a BWK, I think. Well, let's see. So that could be a bit higher, but Yeah, so that would probably be, yeah, around 6. Okay. All right, so that would be 12 degrees. Yeah, it was 12. All right, and 12 just on the slightly in here, but yeah, I mean, around what, 150 or something? 150, 180. So let's go to 212. Ah, BWK. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the BWK and then transition it to BSK and then transition it to the CFC. That is definitely what's going to be happening. I think we're going to have BWK here too, but we will have to check. Again, probably 19. It's on the 19 side. And then the thing is as you go this way and this way, it becomes lower, right? It starts lowering until you get to here, which is like, I don't know, 12 or something. Okay, so 19 on top and disoriented, one sec. Yeah, see, these things don't look too far apart, but they are several degrees different in latitude, which makes a world of difference. All right, so nah, this one should probably be 6. Yeah, it wouldn't be 8. Yeah, probably be closer to 12. All right, and this one we will plot then as 8 degrees. And what is okay, 13.5. All right, so let's take 12 and all right, so let's look at 12 and around 400. That would be BSK. So that's still BSK, even though I made that mistake earlier, and 13.5 and below 400. So below 400 and 13 will be BSK. Okay, well, that's interesting. All right, so because as you go this way, we're going to be increasing it. So what do we need to hit in an increase in temperature? Because we've got 13. Okay, so nope. All right, so this guy here is just below 400 and at 13.5. Just below 400, 13.5. That's kind of on the high side. All right, so it needs to be warmer with less precipitation. So we could probably hit 300 and 15. Nope. All right, so we need less than 300 for sure. Yeah, we want about 280 or so, 250 for sure, and about 250. So yeah, 15.5 is definitely going to be there. So that would be around, okay. All right. So that seems to be reasonable. And so over here, this will transition to yeah, it'll easily transition to CWB, I'm quite sure. Just because there's enough precipitation for that to happen. I'll push it in further on this side just because. But at a certain point, it will run right up against our CFC here. I'll have to figure out exactly when that happens. Probably when we get to the BWK down there, so I won't push it too much. I thought I turned all my notes off. Oh, okay, good. All right, and all right, we can go BWK. We can get rid of that note there. Go back to BSK and let's fill it in. Wow, okay. And then on this side, we are going to have some along here, for example. But we are going to have the BHK spreading through this interior. Is it below or on top? It is on top. And the reason is why is like the reason why this extend is further, you know, I guess higher in latitude than this is because of the precipitation difference that's caused by the additional range that's causing problems here. All right, and let's throw my elevation thing on. All right, let's just for fun take that off. All right. Ah, okay. So that's interesting. So here I did have the BWK in this interior because it's more arid, you know, for sure. However, the D climate while present, didn't, extend as much due to the topography, right? Because I'm working on it as like a whole map. Like this is one section. I'm not going to go in and detail the, every minute elevation change. But here, it's been pushed down. Yeah, here's been pushed down a few degrees just because it's cold, and then I also went in and did a more detailed paths for the precipitation. And, I'm going to make this BW more similar to these more bespoke sections. I'm going to do a similar thing with the D areas in here too, the DW areas. It was just, I wasn't sure how much of it I was going to be keeping because last time it was all arid. So now it also looks like this is going to be some more B area in here. I'm going to probably decrease, the B S is probably going to extend in here, but it may become BH. Yeah, BSH. Or B, and in here we may get regions of BWH, which could be interesting. And then after that, I want to look in this area. Where were some of my marks I made? Yeah, just kind of look in here, look over here, and just sort of see if any areas pop up which could be arid. So we'll come back to that in a sec. I'm going to take a quick break. Everyone praise the sun, and I will be right back. All right, and we are back. Just a brief reminder. How do I forgot how this works for a sec. All right, there we go. Just as a brief reminder, for the next 2 weeks, due to marking and other things, there won't be lives for Zaalea. I'm going to do 2 pre-recorded lives. One of them is going to explore the sort of heuristic model for modeling and understanding polities, which will be based on terms and concepts that I discussed with Bib at last year's World Building Festival. There will be a chart, there will be examples, it's very colorful. So I think that'll be the one for next week. And then the one the week after that will be thoughts about kingdoms and empires based on some of the world building media that's been recommended to me by the YouTubing algorithm and, this things I've seen on Reddit and other stuff like that. So if anyone has any thoughts or questions about kingdoms and empires, you can leave them in the stream here or throw them in the comments. And I'll make sure to include those. And then April 19th, we'll be back with Zaalea. Depending on how far we get today, I think for that live stream, we will probably be working on the A climates. So we're going to detail where the AF climates are, AM, everything else is going to be AW, and I'll show you the equations that we use to figure that out, because the difference between it as an AM climate is, it's an A climate, obviously, and I think it's the month with the lowest total precipitation has less than 60 millimeters, but more than, I think it's like 20, the total amount of precipitation divided by 25 times 100 or something like that. It's a silly little equation, but usually you'll get something like, okay, it has to have less than 60 millimeters, but more than 40 millimeters or more than 20 millimeters. That's what you get for an AM climate. For AW and AS climates, it has less than 60 millimeters in the month with the least amount of precipitation, and then it has less than that number from that equation. So, if your equation, if you have, like 1,200 millimeters, I think that, you need like 40 millimeters. If you have between 40 and 60 millimeters, it's an AM climate. If you get 40 and less, then it would be an AS or an AW climate. And of course, you have enough precipitation in order for it not to be a B climate. We'll go through that process on April 19th. Then we'll see if there's anything else we need to do for Zaalea the week after that. Otherwise, I will reach out to Bib and we will start doing the speculative biology for the main terrestrial group that lives in Zaalea, which is a different group than Arukia. So that'll be a fun time. I've been ideating and doing some sketches for that, for a few months now, figuring out what the vibe I want to be for those critters is. And hopefully, we're going to get a couple domesticates from that, because at a certain point, we're going to introduce domesticates from other realms. And I think the humans are going to bring with them, I think each culture that comes to Arukia in the migration period for Chapter 3 is going to bring with them one domesticate that fills a similar role, and those are going to come from different realms, so we're going to see them. And, as the Spec Atlas continues, we're going to get more domesticates coming from different places, filling different roles. Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned what the main critter is in the what type of critter is in Zaalea. Remind me if I have. If not, it'll be a fun surprise. All right. Let's switch it back over here. All right. I'm going to hit the rest of these checks that I had to do. Yeah, all right. I'm just gonna hit the rest of these checks just to make sure that I am spreading out just to make sure I'm spreading it out. All right, so we do know with a good degree of certainty that there is going to be BWK throughout this back arc. There's a valley. All right, let's hit here and see what things look like, I guess. I mean, that's a pretty far distance. I'm sure something's going to be different. And I think I want to do precipitation again down there. All right, what's it look like for summer? Parallel winds. No, that's the winter. Winter says more parallel winds. Yeah, but we have winds coming in like that, so that's giving us precipitation. All right, and what we got for the summer? Have that there for a second just to compare. Oh, yep. Yeah, okay. So you know what? Let's just do let's just for the sake of it, let's do that. And this is going to be to here. All right, let's see if I still got my G plates up. I do. All right, so that's about 300 meters. Kilometers, sorry, 300 kilometers. And then from that to there is going to be about 950 kilometers. All right, just going over that again. Yeah, just going over that again. All right, so that's probably going to be, okay, so. And there's a little mountain rangey thing going in the way there too. That's, it's fine. And then there's going to be an 855 millimeter difference. So 190 minus 855. It's going to be around what, 300? 300 and okay. Okay. Well, let's just I just want to check where the winds are blowing. 1 sec. Well, if the winds are coming that way, well, that's much further. All right, but this is the annual. And the reason why I picked a lower number, excuse me, the reason why I picked this lower number here is because it is outside of the zone where it would receive a lot of regular precipitation. Maybe I will increase it. So you know what, if I do make it 10, just because it's traveling, the precipitation is traveling further, I can increase that multiplier and see what comes out, because, it getting more than the 130, even though that on average the precipitation is moving the further. I mean, we do have it coming here as well, but maybe there'll be more here and less here. We also have a low pressure system here, so it's bringing it a lot. But let's just see what it comes up with. If I increase it to 10, that would probably be closer to like 240 or something like that. So let's do. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do 335 over here. And over here, let's do what, 240 or something? Yeah, 240 sounds reasonable. That would be a 10. That'd be a 10 multiplier. Let's do that. 240 just as a base, and then there's more along here. So, that would be. Okay, so that's going to be helpful as we move further south. This is the hardcore world building, climate building that we're looking for, right? Hello, Not Dane Hart. Yes, every day a little closer, almost doctor. I'm glad you could make it. Apologies, that was my mug, I think. All right, so right. So this is going to be 23. And what is our elevation here? Right, just over 500. So we're going to do a maximum sort of temperature. And I already did that up here, so it's closer to 20. And then in the winter, it is well below 18 here. No, but it's elevated. So that makes it. So the 18 line in the winter is here. Because what would this be? This would be around, let's see. Yeah, so that's a 24 line along the coast there. Oh, here we go. We're at 18 degrees. Okay, well, that's helpful. Yeah, and this is the oceanic zone, so there's not going to be. So 300 is 18 here, so 500, yeah, maybe about 17, 16. Yes, these are a whole lot of notes on the screen. So we have, just sort of, we've got lines for 22 and 23 degrees Celsius at sea surface level. And where's the other one we got going on here? These are the temperature checks. So we're doing the winter and the summer for the mean annual temperature. We plot those on here and we plot them with our precipitation. So this is the precipitation stuff. I've got how much precipitation is kind of along the coast here. And then we move that in using different multipliers based on whether or not it is receiving precipitation in the winter and the summer, you know, whether it's in a higher or lower pressure zone. This is the equations that I did when I was figuring out the temperatures in these mountains earlier, which is very helpful. And then these lines here, I have a 0 and an 18 degree line at sea surface level, more or less, so I can determine what's going on. Yeah, so that's all of our notes that we have, because right now we're just doing the B climates, and it's a bit of a process. But if we do it nice, then, you know, we got nice little bits like that in the D regions there. And here we've got 20 and 16 as the winter. Yes, summer is warmer, but I believe it's like 21 or something like that. Because, yeah, it's on the 23 line in the summer. So be about 20. Yeah. So it's not a CFA, just on the cusp of being CFA, more or less. Oh, 300 meters. 23. Yeah, it's like 21.5 or something like that. So just on the cusp. All right, so that would be 36. So the average would therefore be 18. So the average is 18, which is nice. But what do we got here? Yeah, but we're working with around, what, 500 millimeters in this area? 450? So 18 and about 500 millimeters. Let's check it out. Don't need to necessarily keep these ones on here. And I think I want to get rid of some of these as well. So we've got 18, which is the line. So if we say it's above 18, it will be BWH. If we say it's slightly below 18, it'll be BWK. And we are receiving about, how much did I say? About 400. Oh, okay, never mind. It could be BSH. Well then. Where is that? Down here is BSH. Nice. Okay, so we have BSH there, but it is on the cusp. So that's interesting. So this, oh yeah, because the increase in precipitation. Nice. Okay. So at some point, it's going to transition from this BWK to a BSK and then to a BSH. Which I don't think it looks like that in the original one. What's it look like here? Yeah, no, just sort of transition to BW. Yeah, neat. Well, I did want to check that. Okay, now we're going to check. We're going to check here. So that is going to be shy of... That's shy of the 23 line, which means it's probably closer to 18, 19, sorry. In the 19 in the summer. And then about 15 in the winter. And that is 34. That's a 17. So that is going to be a K climate, which is cool. So 240 and 17. Yeah, so 240 is here. It should let me do a straight line. Very annoying. All right, so whoop, nope. Okay, and 17. All right, so yeah, BWK. Cool. Okay, so now we are going to be getting warmer as it gets closer to down here. As long as the elevation doesn't change. No, not really. Not the lowest elevation, you know. So if we do it there, that'll again be 20 degrees C. I mean, you know, if it's 19 or 20 at sea surface level around there, about 21, about 21, I guess, around sea surface level. Then it's going to be what, 18 or so. No, it can't be 18. Has to be below 18. 17 or so. No, it is. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's 17 or 16 and a half, something like that. Well, it's along this line, so we can make it. Oh no, it's is it slightly higher elevation? We'll say it's slightly higher elevation, sure. That's going to be 35. 35 and so that's 17 and a half. Yeah, so it's going to be 17 and a half and 300. On this side, 300. That is, oh yeah, it's going to be a BSK. Great. So around there, where do we hit? It is like that 300 mark. So great. And sorry for clicking. All right, then as that swings around, we've got it's transitioning back to BSK, just because of the precipitation that it's receiving. And it's going to get up to 600. And I probably want to do a climate check back there too. Yeah, it's probably around, 23, 23 and a half. Yeah, it's 23 is, we'll just say 23 and a half. That's fine. Because everything in this sort of area is a very similar temperature at sea surface level in the summer. Because it's, there's zero. It's not going to be that. It's about 5 degrees north. So it's not that meaningful. So it's going to be, again, about 20. Well, make it maybe 20. Yeah, maybe that one should be 19 instead. What if it was 19 and 34? Yeah, it'd be 17 anyway. It'd be slightly cooler. Still BSK though. Okay, so we'll say that one was 19. No, that would be the same as that. I mean, it's just the temperature. I mean, it means it'd be 20 and a half. Sure. That may make a difference. Then in the winter, at sea surface level, it is also going to be around 23 or so. We got 15 up there. because that's the... If it is arid, then it is going to be colder in the winter. So if it's going to be 18, which is fine, it can be 18. All right, so I mean, it would be a B. So if it is, it'll be 19 or close to 19 or 20, and it receives 600. So yeah, okay, BSH, cool. And it'll be BSK at higher elevations. I do want to see when it will transition because this is right on the cusp. So it'll probably transition around here or so. My kingdom for layers. All right. Yeah, I need to fix that. All right, so we are going to be, all right, what are we on? All right, let's go back to PSH. So we're going to have a transition here. I mean, probably still going to have this BS in the BSK in the higher elevations. That makes sense, but it is going to transition into BSH. Um, yeah, so that'll be... And of course, this will then go here, and this will... up there, and that will... And is the BSK on top of the BSH? It is on top of the BSH. That's unfortunate. You know what? I'm going to change my idea and put these on top. Just because I got less of it. I mean... All right, and... Okay, so we can incorporate the BSH now. I want to... Let's get rid of all these notes for a sec. All right, there we go. Um, hmm. Let's erase some of this to... Yeah, I'll just have to go in and change the Arukia one. It's not a big deal. Okay, let's see what that looks like here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to just go over this base layer here. Well, that was excessive. All right. Yeah, I'll figure that one out later. Okay, now what I want to do is let's find. Okay, so I got in there. Now I can go to the BSK. There we go. That's nice. Okay, so because we will have a transition, that is why I'm doing this. Because it won't go straight to from BWK to BSK. Sorry, it won't go straight from CWC to BWK. It'll have to take a step. I can figure out the exact dimensions later. Okay, so we're going to have a pretty extensive swath of that there. Nothing new. That's not new. But now we are going to explore in here and in here. How do you get your nice map projections for the regions? Oh. Like how'd I get this? I don't know if I have it here anymore. But what I do is I take my maps from Photoshop. Yeah, okay. So I take my maps from Photoshop and I export them as like PNGs. And then I take those PNGs and import them into GProjector as equirectangular projections. And then from there, I go through a set of projections based on the shape of the continent. So whether it is longitudinally like wide, whether it is tall in latitude, whether it's on the equator, whether it's in the mid latitudes or high latitudes. If it's a supercontinent, I want to show the whole thing. Maybe there's a better projection. And then when I find the projection I want and I find the right angle and height and those sorts of things, I then, export it. So I get this map, and then I import another raster, like another layer on, and then I export that as well. So I just kind of stack them up. Maybe, and I'm able to export them all, and they are at the same, they're all at the same height. They're all showing the same thing, and that way I can layer them and move through them very quickly. But yeah, G projector. It should be free. I got it a long while ago on my Mac, but it should still be available. Let me just check something. It's during the summer. Oh yeah, it's moving up there. Yeah, so during the summer, there's parallel winds, so that area is probably going to be this color. I don't know. We're gonna get there because like this is in the southern hemisphere, so it is going to be a S in the same time that this is going to be a W. Yeah, just looked a little off for me for a sec. All right, so let's get our notes back up. G dot projector from NASA. Yes, G dot projector. Something else that you can do. I don't know if I did it for any of these maps, but I certainly did it for the Taiki map. You can also have, when you import your map, you can say like, you can give essentially what the prime meridian is, but you can also export it with a silhouette of Earth. And when you do that, you can see like comparisons between regions and how large they are as well. So this is how, we can see how big the Mediterranean is, and we can see how big the Taiki is in comparison. All right, this one's going to be good to look at. 20.5 in the summer. Is it going to be 20.5 in the summer? I don't know what the elevation is. Oh, yeah, no, that's about 350. That's about a 1.25 difference. So 21 degrees in the summer. Again, these are the ones that are just below. Yeah, in the winter, they're going to be below. But it can't be higher than 22. Because the 22 line is down there. Let's say it's almost 21. Well, and that can just be 20. Oh yeah, the way that I export and layer everything, I think it's quite a um, smooth workflow. All right, and this one's going to be around 18. No, it has to be below 18. So it has to be around 16. Yeah. Okay, so that's over 36. So it's going to be an H. So it's going to be 18. And how much precipitation are we getting here? That is about halfway. So 475. 475. It's about 700. You know what? Yeah, I don't know. 720, 725, something like that. All right, so no, it would not. It would need, yeah, it is the 600. Okay, so where would 600 start then? Oh, maybe in here? Yeah, probably that line. Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's two. That's in there. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Because we do have this here, and that is 1,000 to 2,000. Oh, have a nice little bird singing in the background. I could justify it based on that. But then, oh yeah, and then this won't get very much precipitation. But then we'll see here and then here. Yeah. So all of this could be quite arid. That's something to consider. All right, if we do in here, the winter is 18, so that would be, you know, probably 17 in here for winter. Summer is probably around 20 as well. Yeah, we have another situation. And we're going to have a decent amount of precipitation here because this is not a very significant hill. And I think we're going to be over. Let me just check. All right, so that was 0.09. Okay. And that is what? So the thousands, that's about a third of the line, maybe a fourth of the line. Zero. So what, 4,000, no, 440. So about 300 and, no, I think it's about 400. It's 390 something. Okay, so 390 or 400. Let's just say that. That'd be about 720. Yeah, and as we said, we need 600. So, when would we'd probably hit it here. But then we're seeing elevation and stuff. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna have. I don't think it's gonna be arid in here. So we can ignore that. I think this is where we can see some aridity. Is there another place I need to check for aridity? Right, in here. So let's do a check in here, and we can do a check in there. Well, I mean, it's essentially going to be the same. It's just going to be... All right, so this is essentially going to be the same. There's just going to be less or more precipitation. Wait, how did this happen? No, I made it warmer. Yeah. Yes, I did. I made it warmer. So yeah, I think we will again see for here 18 degrees C as an average. For here, we will see, you know, again 17 or something. So the main difference will be the precipitation. So on this side, it'll be closer to 700, which again, we won't see precipitation here. So yeah, we won't see it here. We'll probably see it in there. And that would be, you know, we'll probably start with BSH on that side. And then transition to DSK on this side. But no, because this is lower. So it is all 18. We already established that with this one over here. So we're not going to have this unless it's at a higher elevation. And yeah, I'm not even going to have the B S on the BK on the other side here. Let's get rid of these notes. Let's slap on the elevation. Okay, so now one thing I want to check with the notes. Okay, at 1 kilometer, 15.5, and I guess 12.5. So 15.5 and 12.5. Be 16 and 12. That's 28. And that would be 14. Oh my God. Brain fart for a sec. All right, so 14. Over here. And 500. How much should we say we get here? 600. Yeah, so that'd be around 700. I'll make it, yeah, like it can be less behind here just because we have this guy coming over. So yeah, I may make this area much more arid. So if it's up the mountain at 14, $500 is kind of the cutoff. So up in here, all right, so I will have it on this side. And I'll, look at some references later just to see how I feel about it. But all right, what, 450? Yeah. All right, so now we are working through here. And what color is that? Oh, good. All right, let's take off our elevation here. I think I was using slightly different colors. All right, so now I'm going to okay. And then no. That's not what I want. I want that. Great. Now I'm going to go to my BSK here. And because okay, so we may do is break this out, break this up a bit. I don't know how I'm gonna, yeah, because there's gonna be precipitation coming in here, so maybe, which direction does that precipitation come from? In the summer. Great, so it's coming this way, so we can kind of break it up based on where this precipitation is going to be coming in. Yeah, it's kind of breaking it up as we go along. And then the other thing we can do as well is that on this side, I'm still looks after. Because we have essentially figured that out. We just need to figure out how far the BWK extends in the... no, I don't like that. We just need to figure out how far the BWK extends in the... in this section here, and then we can fill those in. And we will be pretty much set. I mean, the only thing that we need to do... Yeah, I think we may take 2 weeks when I come... when I'm back. Because I want to detail this area in here. And then we want to do the A climates. So it's two things to do. And I'm just filling in these lower lying regions here. The thing is, you don't want to get the BWK too high because the higher you go in elevation, the colder it gets. The colder it gets, the more precipitation you get and the less evapotranspiration you get. And that's kind of what we care about. There we go. Okay, so that's up there. I'm going to have a transition down here, which is fun because we got this swoop. We got this swoop and sort of transition. Got two different colors going on here for... Okay, let's make it this darker color. I think that's a bit more, I don't know, aesthetic, I guess. Make sure you're not erasing. Okay. What are we going to finish off? We are going to be finishing off this one in here. So we just need to figure out when the BWK ends, sorry. And then we may I still need to figure out this section because we've got a lot of elevation and changes and things, and this needs to be added as well. And that'll break things up a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll break things up. What do we got going on here? This guy's in here, so we'll see how he sort of... I don't think this formation really does all that much. I know, I'll clean it up and I'll... yeah, that'll probably be in a while though. So... But yeah, so we do have just this expanse here that nothing's really going on all that much, but that's okay. Doesn't have to. But I think it'll look better once this section is kind of filled in. All right. Notes. That one is 18 degrees in the winter. And it is going to be what in the summer? Closer to 19 in the summer. So we got 19 in the summer. Maybe no. I'll have to double check. All right, so 19 and oh yeah. I'm fine. I am fine. Yeah, 19 because it is further away, and it's also slightly lower than this, and then 12. So what? 14. All right, so that's going to be a 16 right here. Let's go up to 16 on here. All right, so we are going to probably be in BWK, because what's our precipitation at? Yeah, it's going to be closer to about 250 or so. Yep, BWK, great. All right, so we're going to get closer to like 500 in this area around here. So I do want to do one down there. And it's going to be, I don't know, probably 30. What's the average there? Yeah, probably going to be a 17. 17 and about 500. 517. So it's going to be BWK. So sorry, BSK. If it's 17 and 500. Where would this end? 317. Okay. That's probably here because it's 240. 300 is probably in here. All right. And this is what is that one? That one's about 450 or something that we said. So 450 around here. Yeah. So, no. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's throw on our elevation and start cracking in. And turn all our notes off as well. Don't need those right now. And because we're getting warmer, we can move closer to the edges of this topography step here. I guess until we get close to there. And here is where there's less of a rain shadow. Because the elevation is different. So we're gonna peter off before we get there. So if the wind is going that way, yeah, something like that. Not the exact shapes I'm looking for, but close enough. And then over here, let's check out the elevation to see what we got going on. Yeah, I'll check. Yeah, I always have to check some references just to see if I got it. Okay, so I think probably gonna call it. It's been a few hours. Oh, what do we got over there? I think I accidentally made a mark up here. There we go. That's fixed. All right. So just doing a little bit of an overview of what we accomplished. So we went over and established some just kind of baseline precipitation numbers for how much precipitation is being received along this coast here. Much of this coast is going to be AF and AM. In the south, oddly enough, we're going to see AW after this transition here at over the equator, and from that transition, we're going to see AM and then into AF. We expanded the what we're working on. We expanded out the sides of the rear sides of the orogeny for the CFC, and we just did that because you know, it's going to be steeper on the foreslope than it is on the back slope. And then we spent a lot of our time doing mean annual temperature checks. And then we were comparing that with our handy dandy chart, which, I mean, I just grabbed a screenshot from my YouTube video for that. I was having some issues bringing it over to the iPad. And then we are also comparing that to the precipitation in the areas where there is regular precipitation in summer and winter. I changed the amount of precipitation received by about 70 millimeters. No, about 7 millimeters for every for every kilometer or so. So for every 100 kilometers, that was 70 millimeters. And then for areas that are only receiving precipitation in the summer, their mean their total annual precipitation was less. So I used about, I think, 9 millimeters decrease per kilometer and 10 millimeter decrease in some areas. And so, this is all of that work that we were doing. Also, just reestablishing the zero line. I think I got rid of the zero line at a previous period of time. But from there, we can really see that it is starting to shape up. The main areas that we need to work on next time on April 19th will be this area in here. So I'm going to finish doing this spur that comes off of the Thuringian Plateau. Yeah, going to finish off the spur that comes off the Thuringian Plateau. There's probably going to be some ET and add in some... One sec here. Yeah, add in some ET and CFC into that region. And then after that, decide what to do about this area in here, because it's probably going to be more arid. So I would expect to see some BSH in this basin. Yeah, we come back on the 19th, work on that. And then the next week, I think the 26th, we will do the A climates and we'll be able to finish it off. Yeah, we'll do both. Can I do both? I guess that's as good as it gets. And then, as I mentioned before, just kind of, my goodness. And just as I mentioned before, I am going to be uploading 2 pre-recorded lives next week and the week after. One of them is going to be exploring the model I was using to discuss polities, talk about, how state-like they are. Developed a chart for that based on what I talked about in the World Building Festival. So I'll be going over a draft of that for the first pre-recorded live. And then for the second pre-recorded live, I'm going to talk about thoughts of world building, kingdoms, and empires. And this is largely in response to some of the stuff I've seen come across, like Reddit and YouTube and Stack Exchange and stuff like that. So if there are any questions about world building, kingdoms, and empires, something that you'd like me to touch on, you can leave a comment on the video, and I'll make sure to incorporate that when I record those, I don't know, either in the next couple days. So I hope everyone has a great next few weeks while I'm in the marking mines. And thank you for coming with me today to Lands Unknown. I will see you again in 3 weeks. All right. Oh, and thank you for this stream. It always takes me a sec to load up. Yeah, of course. I love doing this. This is a lot of great fun. And I hope folks are getting a lot out of it, especially if you're doing the climates for your own maps.